On tonight's CTV News, plans for an official earthquake memorial are about to be unveiled. The Waimakariri district is overrun with bovine, and the Christchurch City Council is testing out a floodproofing pilot this weekend. This is CTV News. I'm Grant Mangan. 3 years on from the February earthquakes, and the plans for an official memorial are about to be announced. Emma Cropper has the story.
The memorial will honour those who died or were injured in the earthquakes, as well as recognising the work of rescue personnel and acknowledge the suffering experienced by so many people in New Zealand. CTV News understands the site for the memorial will be on the Avon River in the central city. Under proposal plans sent to the victims' families, the site is described as being a fitting place because of its size and topography and potential to enhance natural amphitheatre. The document outlines the potential to include a new pedestrian bridge, as well as broadening the site. The Minister's office has declined to comment about the memorial site until tomorrow's announcement. Designers will be asked to submit proposals for the memorial, which will be decided by a panel that includes a representative from the victims' families. Memorials across the world have remembered and stood as a symbol of a significant event. In Washington, D.C., Vietnam's Veterans Memorial creates a place rather than an object. This memorial in Oklahoma City is a memory of those lost and those who came to help with the rescue following the bomb attack. And this tree is a reconstruction of a single pine tree that survived the Japanese tsunami. Only time will tell what the symbol of February 22nd, 2011 will be. The memorial will be unveiled in time for the 5th anniversary of the February earthquake in 2016. Emma Cropper, CTV News.
Labour is criticising a government scheme aimed at bringing beneficiaries to Christchurch for work.
Meet one of the region's newest workers. A few weeks ago, 20-year-old Sam O'Carroll was unemployed, but that'll change when the government offered a $3,000 cash incentive for beneficiaries to relocate to Christchurch for work.
I was like, what? $3K to go down south? Yeah, oh, true.
He says the $3,000 incentive helped him buy groceries and bedding. It also helped him secure a flat.
You can lay down a bond for a place and all that. You got gas money to get to work every day until your first paycheck.
Inside Concrete Solutions, Rolleston factory, he's part of a team building the new Ashley Bridge.
I never thought I'd be building a bloody bridge, eh? Far out, come down here next minute building bridges. It's been pretty sweet, eh?
Today he's working on the bridge beams. It's hard work but very rewarding for Sam. Each one takes a solid day's work.
You pick it up within a week and just slamming it out really, man. Get here at like 4 to 6 in the morning and you're here till 4 to 6 at night.
Sam struggled to find a job in Wellington, so jumped at the chance to move south. He isn't the only former beneficiary to sign up to the new scheme.
Yeah, we've had literally thousands that have looked on the website and asked for further information, but in the first week of the new initiative, we've had 50 people take it up.
The $3.5 million scheme is aimed at attracting 1,000 unemployed young people. And it just so happens the Christchurch Work and Income Office has 1,000 vacancies on its books, so it shouldn't be too hard to attract people, should it? With 50 signed up to jobs so far, the government is hailing the scheme as a success. However, the Labour Party disagrees.
Well, given the amount of publicity it had, I thought 50 was quite a low number myself.
The Labour Party is concerned the scheme will add to the region's housing woes if it does take off. The Minister says those fears haven't proven true, as the first 50 to move to Christchurch have all been staying with friends and family or have gone flatting.
We always thought it would appeal more to single people that perhaps didn't have families, and as such they've got a bit more flexibility on where they can stay.
I would be very surprised if the Ministry of Social Development are keeping a track on where people are living, not just for the first day or week, but longer term. There is a housing crisis in Christchurch. We know that having new people come to our city will add to that in one way or another.
Sam says with his $3,000 grant, finding a flat wasn't a challenge.
If they've given you $3K, then you can find yourself a place. You just got to stay on top of things, you know.
The Minister says Christchurch was always going to need construction workers helping out with the rebuild, and the city was always going to have to house them. Finding these beneficiaries jobs is saving money in the long run. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
A pilot test to flood-proof a home is underway. CTV News went to check up on progress.
A house surrounded with water. It's called house tanking, one of the many ways the Christchurch City Council are looking to protect homes from floodwaters. The test pilot is well underway, and the unit transport and green space manager, John Mackey, says things so far are looking good.
Yesterday we applied the polymer application to the building itself. There's 3 coats of that went on, and today we've erected the bund around the perimeter of the building that's going to be filled with water as we speak, and they're going to be pouring in something like 150 cubic metres, probably 200 cubic metres of water to raise the water level against the building up to the height of about a metre.
It's a model used overseas, but for the first time this week in Christchurch. Christchurch City Mayor Leanne Dalzell established the Mayoral Flood Task Force due to the heavy rainfall floods in March and April of this year. The task force banded together to come up with short-term flood mitigation solutions for residents badly affected by the floodwaters. John Mackey says the test has been successful internationally. He's 90% sure the outcome here in Avonside will be positive.
This feels like a bit of a first. There's been some, we've been observing what's been done in the UK and the USA. This is common overseas. Of course, they have different building codes than we do. So it's the first time that we've had the chance to test this on a New Zealand-built weatherboard home with a foundation cavity.
Waterproofing preparations was completed this afternoon. The next step is filling the barrier with water and watching for any ingress.
I'm confident to about 90% that we've got most of the areas covered, but you just never know. There's those little things. The age of the weatherboards might be an issue. If the pressure of the water peels those weatherboards apart, breaking the bond of the polymer, then that could cause a leak. So we'd have to think then about, do we have to do any structural work to reinforce the older weatherboards?
A team of engineers will monitor the red zone test house over the weekend, and on Monday, CTV News return for a closer look. Joelle Batista, CTV News.
The Earthquake Recovery Minister and Environment Minister have agreed to work with the Christchurch City Council on accelerating the district plan review process.
Christchurch has 2 district plans, one for the city, the other for the Banks Peninsula. However, when the 2 plans were created in the 1990s, they were never designed to cope with the large amount of repair and rebuild work that's necessary to recover from the earthquakes. Both plans have since been amended, but the Christchurch City Council believes it's time the plans were reviewed, and the government agrees. A normal review process would take up to 10 years. However, it's been fast-tracked because of the city's urgent need to get things moving. Earthquake Recovery Minister Jerry Brownlee says an up-to-date and effective plan will provide certainty during the rebuild in Christchurch and beyond. It will support the growth and rebuild of Christchurch, including the estimated $4 billion of infrastructure repair and the development of more than 130,000 residential properties. During the review process, Cantabrians will have a chance to have their say. Decisions on the replacement district plan will be done in stages. The first stage will focus on priority matters with decisions in early 2015, while the next stages will deal with more general matters, with final decisions by March 2016.
Coming up, cows have the majority in Waimakariri district. The Waimakariri district boasts more cows than people.
Residents are being outnumbered by cows. Farming figures from the Waimakariri District Council show a 220% growth in dairy cow numbers in the past 14 years, which means the 49,989 residents recorded in last year's census are outnumbered by the 58,820 dairy cows in the district. Linda Murchison, North Canterbury's Federated Farmers President, expected the majority of the population to be dairy cows. The area has seen a large shift since the earthquakes, with many families making the move from the red zone into the Waimakariri district, and it's expected that trend will continue, with 9 years growth expected in just 3 years. But the dairy industry isn't moving at the same pace. In fact, Linda Murchison believes it's doing the opposite. The growth of dairy farming is halted as the industry attempts to solve how to continue expansion, while also meeting Environment Canterbury's nitrogen allocation rules. Murchison believes other types of farming were also showing signs of slowing down, including sheep, beef, grain, fruit, poultry and flower farming.
New ground turned in Hallswell today marks the beginning of construction for community facilities.
The blessing of the local ground, a momentous occasion for the Hallswell community. This land will one day house a new library, community facilities and cafe. The plans for the development have been in the pipeline since 2009. The earthquakes hit and now the need is even greater. Deputy Mayor Vicky Buck turned the sod on the site today, saying the community had been waiting a long time, but work on this exciting development is finally starting.
We are actually about to start building the whole Hallswell Library and a whole lot of community facilities, which is fantastic because I think they've been on the drawing books of the council since about 2009, and during that time the population of Hallswell has gone up a great deal, so actually getting it built is fantastic.
Oakland school pupils Jack and Lily were the first to turn the ground with the help of the Deputy Mayor and Ron Fensom of the Residents Association. Vicky Buck says it's important for the young ones of Hallswell as they will be the ones who will use it the most.
Every time we listen to the community in terms of annual plans or anything, this is what people want, joined up community facilities. So this is library near a swimming pool, near community facilities, cafe obviously, really important, and a whole lot of other facilities as well.
This is the first major council facility in Hallswell, but also the first of its kind in Christchurch, with such a range of services on offer. There will be an indoor play area, a cafe, a large conference space and specific area for outdoor community activities. More than just a home for books, the new buildings will be a place for the community to gather together as one. Deputy Mayor Vicky Buck is encouraging the people of Hallswell to put forward ideas for what goes on. Vicky Buck says the council provide the building, but the community decide what's in it.
We're about to start building the physical building. Obviously what goes in it will be a library. The pools will stay open, and then there are some facilities which will be used in the way in which the community tells us that they want. So we expect quite a lot of input into that yet to come.
Submission of ideas can be emailed or dropped into the current Hallswell Library. The Aquatic Centre's main pool and hydro slides will stay open this summer with temporary changing rooms, barbecue and staff facilities. The community space is scheduled to be opening in November 2015. Joelle Batista, CTV News.
Christchurch's roads are busy at the best of times, with workers filling in the cracks and repairing the pipes underneath. In a room inside the Christchurch City Council, a small team are the eyes and ears of the city's roads. With well over 100 cameras and traffic lights in their arsenal, they're responsible for making sure everything runs smoothly.
This is the man in charge of making sure your drive to work is smooth and without delays. Meet Ryan Cooney. He heads the Christchurch Transport Operations Centre, and when it comes to making sure you get to work on time, he's the city's very own Wizard of Oz.
There's 140 cameras and around about 280 sets of traffic signals, and Wizard of Oz, not necessarily the term I'd use, but it's certainly a big responsibility. There's obviously a very large proportion of the public are affected by what we do every day, so we certainly are very conscious of the need to be very aware of the civic needs, the needs of all the people, our customers who are travelling on the network.
His team are responsible for ensuring traffic lights are running smoothly and can manipulate them to run to clockwork. With multiple screens, hundreds of cameras and thousands of vehicles on the roads, it's a busy job.
Trying to make sense of things that are happening, why people are making choices, how do we adjust the signals, how do we manage work sites, etc. Certainly keeps you on your toes. Scoot
is accelerating work beneath the central city roads over the next few months before moving deeper into the suburbs. After 3 years repairing the city's roads, the council's starting to develop a knack for keeping things running smoothly.
Whilst journey times are not as great as we'd like them to be, they're certainly not as bad as they could be. It's elevated, things are worse than normal, but to the extent that it seems reasonable for the amount of work that has to be delivered. There's an awful lot of work to be delivered as part of the rebuild.
However, developers' buildings popping up in the central city will lead to further delays.
Where there isn't major vertical build to be delivered, we'll start finding that the amount of works is decreasing, so Beeley Ave is a good example of that. A number of the obviously obviously very central city roads are going to continue to be affected because of these new builds.
Despite initial fears, the team have found the difficulty of navigating roadworks hasn't led to a boost in the amount of car crashes. It's a wonder there aren't more crashes near traffic lights. Since the cameras started running in July last year, this team has uncovered hundreds, if not thousands, of red light offenders.
So lights have changed, and here's this truck driving through on a red light. And here's a car driving through on a red light, even worse.
2 offenders?
Absolutely.
How often do you see this?
It's worse during peak periods, but often it's not irregular during peak periods, basically. Obviously, there's a bit of tension about travel times out there at the moment, so it would seem that people are taking some fairly high risks compared to what they would have traditionally taken.
Is Christchurch?
The team of 18 will continue to manage the transport impacts of the rebuild until well after the work winds up, keeping a watchful wizard's eye over Christchurch. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
Still to come, the sport, traffic and weather updates. Well, it's the end of another week, and that means it's time to preview the weekend's sporting action.
Just one change has been made from the Crusaders side that defeated the Blues last weekend. All Black lock Sam Whitelock was a late withdrawal last weekend, but returns to the side for this weekend's top of the conference clash against the Highlanders at AMI Stadium. A win tomorrow night will guarantee the Crusaders' top spot in the New Zealand Conference of the Super Rugby competition, with the team already guaranteed of at least a playoff spot going into the final round. In an ideal result, the Crusaders would like to win with a bonus point to finish in second spot ahead of South African rivals the Sharks, to give themselves a week off while teams seeded 3rd to 6th battle it out in the first round of the playoffs. This weekend's fixtures in the Hawkins Trophy competition are sure to produce some tight results, with the top of the table high school old boys going up against Hawkins Cup winners Lincoln University at Rugby Park. Both teams suffered their first defeats of the competition last weekend and will be looking to get their campaigns back on track. The two other games in the trophy competition see New Brighton at home to Sydenham, while Christchurch will be looking for their maiden win when they take on Marist at Christchurch Park. All of those games kick off at 2:45 tomorrow. The 20-strong list of players receiving Central New Zealand cricket contracts was released yesterday, with one Cantab in and another out. Canterbury pace bowler Matt Henry was celebrating yesterday after the announcement, while teammate and out-of-form opener Peter Fulton was left with an unsure future. Canterbury's Tom Latham is now the only Test opener on the contract list, with both Fulton and Hamish Rutherford axed. The presence of only one specialist Test opener leaves uncertainty as to who will take the second opening position, with both Rutherford and Fulton averaging around 20 runs over the last 12 months. And finally tonight, Timaru shot putter Tom Walsh will get a sneak preview of the Commonwealth Games venue over the weekend when he competes in the Glasgow Diamond League meeting. The 22-year-old's build-up to the Games will see him compete in a meet in the Czech Republic before he competes at the Glasgow Commonwealth Games on July 28th. You're up to date with the latest in local sport. I'm Gordon Finlater for CTV Sport.
The school holidays are great for reducing peak time traffic congestion around the city. However, if you're heading into the central city, you can avoid tomorrow's traffic jams with tonight's traffic update.
Hello travellers, to help you plan your journey around the central city, here's a few tips. This coming week there are a few new road closures that will be in place to watch out for. They include Peterborough Street, Gloucester Street, Cambridge Street, These roads are still experiencing major works, so they will be slow during peak times. Durham Street, Madras, Barbados Street. Remember, the quickest way around is by using the 4 avenues. To keep up to date on what's happening with the Central City roads, keep watching CTV News first at 5 every night, and in the meantime visit the Transport for Christchurch website.
And remember that updates also screen on this channel during the week days at 7, 8 and 9 a.m. and also at 12 midday. Finally tonight, let's check out your regional weather.
Good evening, Canterbury. Here's your region's weather. Timaru, Temuka and Geraldine had the low of the region, 13 degrees today. Moving on to Ashburton, Methven, Rakaia and Darfield, 14. Leeston, Ralston and Lincoln, 14 degrees. And a mild day if you're out helping with the city's rebuild. Christchurch, 14 degrees. Over in Akaroa, 14. Heading into the Waimakariri district, Rangiora, Kaipoi and Amberley, 14 degrees. Moving north to the Hunanui district, Culverden, Hanmer Springs and Cheviot, 14 degrees. And up the very top in Kaikoura, 14. But what's in store for your weekend? Tomorrow in Timaru, mostly fine for your Saturday with high cloud and moderate northerly winds. An overnight low of 7 and a high of 14 degrees. In Ashburton, a mostly fine day ahead with plenty of high cloud and northerly breezes. An overnight low of 7, tomorrow's high 14 degrees. Christchurch a little milder tomorrow with high cloud and sunny periods and northeasterly winds. An overnight low of 7 and a high of 14. Thick high cloud through Saturday for Kaikoura with northeasterly winds. An overnight low of 7 and a high during the day of 14. And of course in other areas around the region, Temuka and Geraldine a high of 14 and cloud all day. Methven and Rakaia cloudy, a high of 14 and low of 7. Darfield, Leeston and Ralston can expect the same. Lincoln and Christchurch expect cloud all day with a high of 14. Over in Akaroa hitting a low of 7 and a high of 14. Rangiora, Kaipoi and Amberley, cloudy for most parts of the day with a high of 14. Culverden, Hanmer Springs and Cheviot an overnight low of 7 and a high of 14. And looking ahead for what's in store for Canterbury. Fine and mild on Sunday with sunny periods at first, but high cloud increasing during the day and moderate northwesterly winds. Cold southwesterlies developing at night, a period of showers on Monday morning, but clearing and remaining mostly cloudy during the afternoon. Cold with moderate southwesterly winds are expected as well. Cloudy and cold all the way from Tuesday through to Thursday, with drizzle patches and light showers at times. Expect light snow flurries above 400 metres and moderate southerly winds. And that's all for your region's weather. Do enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a lovely weekend.
And that's CTV News for Friday and the week. I'm Grant Mangan. Good night.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.